Behind every strong leader is a story that they've never told. I'm Dorinda Smith. I'm a precision medicine scientist and a holistic practitioner, and someone who knows what it means to rise through the pain. Welcome to Leaders Rising, the stories of breakthroughs and success that you want to hear. This is a space where high-performing entrepreneurs, executives, and visionaries take off the mask and share the real story behind their success. The battles with burnout, the health scares, the breakdowns that led to spiritual and emotional awakening, and the mistakes that they wish someone had warned them about sooner. These aren't just success stories. These are transformation stories that you need to hear. Each episode, we're going to dive into the mindset, the healing, and the resilience that it takes to lead at the highest level from the inside out. So whether you're a rising leader just starting to step into your purpose, or you're a seasoned professional ready to mentor with authenticity and wisdom, this is your tribe. This is your moment. This is Leaders Rising. Today, I'm really excited to have a conversation with Miss Penny Pearl. She's a certified ICF coach, and she specializes in career strategies, career leadership, and value proposition marketing campaigns. She does strategic networking, and she teaches soft skills, communication, and relationship building. And I'm just really excited to get into this conversation with her today because isn't this the crux of where it's at? We all need to do this as entrepreneurs and business leaders. So welcome, Penny. So Penny, I would really love to start with your own personal leadership story. Tell us how you lead in the world and what you do.
Hello, Dorinda. How are you today?
I am great. It's
Good.
awesome to meet you.
Same here.
I read up about your business and everything that you're about on LinkedIn, and just really happy to get into your story and just hear about your life and
Oh, my whole life. Wow. Okay.
how your life from birth all the way.
That's a long time ago.
I know, for me too. Yeah, for me too. But yeah, really just like, how did you get into the business that you're in right now? And,
Sure.
what motivated you to do what you're doing? First, tell us what you do.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great idea. My company is to actify, meaning to activate, to take action, because I am very much of an action taker. And what I do is I help executives find their next role by doing things differently than applying online, just like everybody else. They learn how to incorporate a career strategy, and we focus on strategic networking, presenting your value and impact, and your communication skills in order to get that next role. So I do one-on-one sessions. I've been doing this all along. C-suite, usually down to like a senior director of technology, marketing, those sorts of roles in corporations. And I also have been helping Rutgers University, their biomedical scientists, which you can relate to. They are trying to move from academia to learning to operate and have a job in a business. And it's a big transition. So I've
Yes,
been doing that
yes.
for 8 years with their career readiness program. Yeah. So it's one-on-one, and then I also have a course on what I do.
Nice, very nice. And so, what made you get interested in doing that?
Well, I was always in high tech when I was starting my career. I took a break to have family, And I just loved working with people. So then I decided I'll get my coaching certification. I started out trying to get involved with higher ed and helping students in their career search. And then it evolved in my work to my working with executives. So it's been very satisfying, because one of the things that I've learned is whether you're an executive or an early career seeker like a student, you still have some of the same barriers to entry in making your next move. So generally what happens when I work with executives, they've been very successful at their company. They've got a title, they're well known, they're extremely talented. They do roadmaps on technology 3 years down the road. And they really manage their teams, they coach their teams. So they are real contributors to the growth of the company. When it comes to their own career search, they don't have a path in front of them. And therefore, a lot of them go online and apply just like everybody else, rather than using a network that they've been building for the last 20 years. So what I do is I work through a system of helping them with their resume and their profile on how to present themselves, how to identify and communicate their value and impact. Many of them are not really aware of how to articulate that. They know that they've been at the company X years, they've helped the company grow, but when it comes to individual contributions, they're not necessarily able to articulate exactly what that means in terms of a qualitative or a quantitative improvement in the company. So, for example, as a result of X program, I have been able to contribute 20% of all the revenue in the company for the last 3 years, that sort of thing. So that adds value to them. And when they reach out to their network, being able to communicate those sorts of things so that their prospective next employer sees value in bringing them on board. So it's very involved for them too. And they really have to expose their vulnerabilities, right, in order for me to help them. And and I teach them how to reach out, how to network, how to communicate with other people so that it's a win-win. Have networking conversations, develop content that shows their expertise. And then when they get to an interview, they win the offer because they're so practiced in how to prepare for conversations, what to share about themselves, how to share about it. So it's a real growth and transformational process that they go through.
I love that. That's similar to what I do here too, in helping people to go through their health transformations,
Right,
right?
right,
It's
yeah.
really important because, you know, I know that everybody could use an up leveling
Sure,
at some
sure.
area of their life, right? And I think that's what makes life worth living is when we constantly have a little goal in front of us to up level. And I love that you've made it with the work that you do, you've made it easier for people to make that up leveling transformation and then move to the next place in their life that's going to be better, right? Because they got your
That's
help.
right. That's right. Well, that's
Yeah.
it. It's all a mindset, right?
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
commitment on their part also, because there's always a little pain in growth.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so
Absolutely.
providing perspective is very important. Otherwise, that same CD keeps playing in our head, and we all have it.
Right. And people will feel alone if they're
Yes.
just in their heads.
Yep.
Whereas if they've got a good coach in front of them that says, nope, you got this, it's okay, here's your next thing that you need to do, or let's not focus over there. I love that you've made it into like a method,
Uh-huh.
right?
It's a
You're
system,
making
really.
it clear.
Yeah. And I love when at the end, my clients, they have multiple offers. They get to decide. It's very empowering and confidence
Yes.
building.
I also love that you just said a minute ago about there's a growth process,
Hmm.
right? In any up leveling, there's a growth process, and it's not always easy. There's usually going to be obstacles in the way.
Sure.
So I'm sure that you've had your own personal obstacles
Oh,
as you were
yes.
growing your business. I'd love to hear about some of them. It's really never the easy thing. It's never, hey, we just all got this. There's
Right.
always,
Yeah, well, when I read your profile and what you do and how you specialize in autoimmune, I thought, wow, we're going to have a lot to talk about.
uh,
Um, but I think the thing that I really have enjoyed is what have learned about people, the behaviors, the insecurities, um, the strengths, how some people are just so amazing. Like, how do you do all that? And being in business is not for sissies.
amen.
Yeah, it's not. And one of the things that I know that I found to be the most difficult thing is marketing. But as an entrepreneur, you hear and see so many different ways of doing things. You have to really focus on what you want to work for you, because everything can work, but there's always that candy out there. And all you do is you lose time by trying this or trying that, or work with somebody that you don't necessarily trust. It's a big investment of time and money.
Yeah.
So,
And so what kind of advice could you give to there's a lot of practitioners like me out there who,
mm-hmm,
let's face it, I'm a scientist. I
mm-hmm,
went to a medical school, not an MBA,
right,
right? Business school. And so then when we get our training, we're never taught anything about how to be a great business person. We're never taught
mm-hmm,
anything about marketing or how to do good storytelling, how to make good videos, everything that we have to do today in order to give our solutions to people who need
mm-hmm,
our solutions. We're
right.
never taught that, right? And so then we get out into the real world and we're like, oh, you think you're just gonna put your sign up and say, hey, I
Here I
do
am.
this. Here I am. Come see
Right.
me. And then, right? So yeah, I would love to hear your advice on that.
So everybody is looking for business, right? And everybody is being told that, oh, it's easy, this whole lead generation activity that's going on, where you hire a company, they're going to put leads on your table, and then all you have to do is have your sales calls. And so this individual company talked about, are you looking for new clients? We have programs that include executives in business. They knew that um, that was my focus. Those were my customers. So they tried to draw me in using that lure. And through my questions of them, I found out that it was just a bunch of BS.
Uh,
So,
yeah, after 8 years in business, I think I have finally learned that you really do have to learn how to be a good marketer,
yes,
because the only way that you can help people is by getting your message out into the world.
right.
And so even though a lot of business people feel like the whole marketing thing you have to outsource it, but you really don't. I'm learning that it's not that hard if we're willing to just up level ourselves, just like you do for your clients, like I do for my clients. We have to get in there and we have to up level ourselves when it comes to marketing
Right.
and just learn the tools, learn how to use them. Right. And then my plan is that I'll be training people in house to do that. So that I'll never have to
Yeah.
worry about those companies, the marketing agencies out there who say, "Oh, I'm going to bring you 20 leads per week."
Yeah.
Like what I've learned is that they never do.
Yeah, they don't. And then
They
also
don't.
the use of AI, of course, which is very disruptive. People make decisions based on relationships. They have to trust you. And, that's one of the areas that I have an expertise in, is how do you communicate with somebody so that they know you've really taken an interest in them and you're not just, sending messages out to 100 people a week, which is what LinkedIn allows. Well, I guess it depends on your business. But if you have a big business, then 100 people that you're outreaching to isn't going to be enough. So in some cases, you're going to have to use automation. But I find that if you're really good at showing that individual that you've taken interest in them and you're persistent, then you have a much better chance of setting up a schedule because they know that you're a real person, right? Versus something that is automated. You did that when you reached out to me, for sure.
Did I do a good job?
Yes, well, here I am.
Because I'm learning too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And you
I,
learn to
I'm
pivot.
learning how to up level there.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And it's not always easy and comfortable because it's something different. But
Yeah.
when have you grown without doing something that was a little uncomfortable, right?
Amen.
Yeah. So,
Amen. That's true about everything. That's
right.
true about.
So the benefit of quantity outreach, of course, is you're going to find somebody who is just waiting for you to knock on their door. And so when I work with clients, I do tell them that quantity and quality are both important because I've had clients who go back to their network, rekindle a relationship, and as little as a week, they got a job offer because they
Nice.
took the time to reach out. But it's an ongoing relationship. And today that's what you have to do. And it's more fun to do it that way,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, isn't that why we all do what we do? I mean,
Yeah,
real entrepreneurs, there's usually some kind of a huge life transformation that we've gone through. And then in our hearts, we want to give back. We want other people to have that same life transformation that we had,
right,
you know?
right.
And so that's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, yeah,
That makes it that you can have those awesome relationships with all of your clients where they just become your friends. And then,
that's right.
right? Yeah, that's a
Also,
beautiful thing.
it is. And I've been finding like when I reach out to develop a relationship, it might be somebody who viewed my profile or somebody that came to a webinar that I did and I re-engage with them because I want to get to know them now that they,
Right?
we're first degree connections. And I've had a lot of success with that because maybe that person isn't ready today. Maybe they'll be ready in 6 months. Maybe they know somebody who they introduce me to that I can help.
Yeah.
So whether or not somebody's actually looking today for the type of service that I have, it doesn't really matter to me. But I'll tell you, when I receive somebody, sending me a message and saying, oh, I represent XYZ company and we can do all your social media, right off the bat, they're trying to sell. And that just doesn't work
Yeah.
for me unless I'm in the market for it.
And that's why I love networking.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an extrovert anyway. I know
Mm-hmm.
that this might be hard for a more introverted person, but for me, I mean, I love it. Like if I'm at church and I'm meeting a new person, or someone just walks into the office, and maybe they're not even there to see me. Maybe they're there to see the partner down the
Right.
way or something. I love meeting new people, and
Yeah.
I think that it's wise for us as entrepreneurs to do the networking work and just get to know new people, and just to see how you can help them,
Right.
right? 'Cause, I mean, isn't that the whole reason why we're here on the earth anyway, is to help other
Yes.
people, you know?
Well, you have the right mindset for it, but there are a lot of people that think that networking is icky and they don't want to do it. And how are they going to know what your expertise is unless you tell them,
Right.
right? But if you're networking to with a purpose, with an intention, like you and I are networking,
Right.
we enjoy it. But
Yes.
ultimately, you want to have referrals, you want to have clients, those sorts of things. You have to have a
Right.
strategy. So that's why I call my networking strategic networking, because what the end goal needs to be, and you have to navigate to get there. And so it has a purpose. It's not just calling up people you used to work with when you're in a job search and saying, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, this is what I'm doing. Great talking to you." That doesn't work, because maybe they could have helped you if you asked the right way. But if you don't ask and you're just having this conversation that has really nothing to do with your goal, then it that particular exchange didn't serve your purpose.
Mm.
So
Very wise.
it's hard to educate people on this. And that's what makes it hard for them, because now instead of calling 10 people that they know, just having a chat, which is the easiest way to do it, I'm telling them, you want to give something, but you also want to get something. So each person needs to leave that call with action items or with some gift from the other person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's about service.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. So I have another question for you. And by the
Yeah.
way, I'm really enjoying getting to know you, Penny.
Oh, good.
I
Thank
really
you.
am. I feel like I'm already learning from you. Like, I'm getting the benefit of learning from you
Thank you.
today.
Well, same here. I just want to let you know, when I read your profile and saw I mentioned about the immune system, but I thought I would have a lot to talk with also about that.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's do it then,
Okay.
because I would love to get into that. Absolutely.
I have to charge my phone, so I had to switch to going off the
Go ahead, plug it
headsets.
in.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Fine. They'll just edit that part out.
what? Oh,
They'll just
it's not recording now?
Oh, it's still
Oh,
recording, but
okay.
they'll edit all this out. We don't have to stop it or anything. They'll just edit it out.
Okay. So what questions did you have that I could help you with?
Oh my goodness. Well, so what types of first I want to ask you, what types of mistakes maybe did you make
Mhm.
when you were, and then I would love to go into, like, were there any mistakes that you were making when you first started doing your business and you were learning how to do what you do?
Yes.
Were there any mistakes that presented major obstacles for you that maybe you could give shortcuts to other entrepreneurs?
Sure. There's a big emphasis today on defining who your target audience is. Who are the
Mm.
people that you can serve the best? And all of your messaging and your marketing needs to be around serving the needs of that audience. But there's another benefit to that, and that is when you know who it is that can best use your services, then you need to learn to say no to people who are not in your audience.
Wow. Whoa, come on, girl. Let's just talk about that one.
Yes. So um, sometimes that means that something is off about an individual, and you can't really, in a coaching situation, you can't really relate to that individual, or they're not making sense, they're not coachable for you. Maybe they're not in your audience. You are much better off to just refer them to somebody, or just indicate, really, I serve this group. So,
That is so true. That is so true.
yeah.
I'm hearing you say it's much better not to make the sale, not
Yes.
to take the client, right?
Yep.
Because it's going to be harder for you down the line if they aren't really what's best for your mission.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And being
Yeah.
able to identify when you're in that situation is really key.
And I honestly do believe, I mean, everybody's got health problems. Everybody can afford to level up in that area, right?
Right.
Everyone can do better. Um, but what we have found is that, like our particular mission here, we don't fool around. We're gun ho,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's why we've learned that we can't just help everybody because some people are just not ready to level up at
That's right.
that
That's
right
right.
in that moment. And I think for us, but you tell me what you think about this. For us, we've decided that well, there's certain people that we know, they're the goal oriented ones, the ones that really want to get in there and they really want to do the work and they're excited to get their results and they're ready to go. They're gung ho,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to complain if you tell them, yeah, you probably have to stop eating that candy bar every day. They're
Right.
not going to complain about that. They're going to say, yep, I know. I'm holding myself accountable. I'm going to do it. Right. And then, but not everybody is there. Not everybody's ready for that. But I love what we've decided to do is all right, well, if they're not ready for that level of service, there's probably a level of service that they are ready for. Otherwise, they wouldn't be talking to you in the first place. They
That's
obviously
true.
do want to get their health to a better place, but maybe they're just not ready for the whole gung ho, come on, let's go, let's get in there, right? So we've decided to make, just simple things that people can get that will really help them, that will really be of great value to them. But it's not requiring them to really level up to the level where we're at right now.
Right. That financial and time commitment that you
Exactly.
need in order to succeed in any endeavor. Right.
Hello.
Yeah.
Right. And especially for your health.
Yes.
But for anything, but I know that people really struggle with making those, you know, it's a whole lifestyle change when you're going to get your
Mhm.
health back.
Yes. Yeah. Now I get that. And if you're dealing with somebody who's partially committed, or they're committed in the moment, but long range, they're not really thinking about it, you
Right.
will spend so much time with that individual
Yes.
that you can't have help 10 other people that are really ready.
You're so right. I
Yeah.
mean, you must have been watching my practice the last 6 months. You are so right.
Yes.
And and
So,
while we love everybody, we want to help everybody.
right,
But not everybody is at that level.
right.
Yeah.
So being able to recognize, and sometimes it's not blatant, sometimes there are little signals that come to you, and listening to them, and then taking a leadership position and saying, this isn't the type of person that would really benefit from my program, or I don't have the time. A case in point, there was a situation one time where a couple were trying to make a move and find new careers, and they wanted to work together. And I met with them a couple of times. They couldn't agree on anything, where they wanted to live or whatever. And I said to myself, we would get nowhere. So I decided, to bow out of that. But that was after a while, it was evident to me that this just wouldn't end up good over a long period of time. And they probably needed somebody to say to them, you two need to discuss these things with a therapist first. And then once you're, yeah, then when you're aligned, then, we can move forward. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because then they can move forward,
right,
right?
right.
It's like what you're saying is, I love this. I love this because what you're saying is there's a step by step process
Mm-hmm.
to any time you want to level up in any area of life, whether
Yes.
it's in your business or in your health or whatever you're doing. There's a step by step process. And if the foundation isn't in place, or maybe you have done the foundation, maybe you did do the step one thing, but the
Right.
step two thing now, you're not there. And maybe like if you come into my practice, I'm really going to expect you to be at step two or step three and be
Mm-hmm.
really ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
and for those people who really aren't there yet, they still need help. They still need someone to provide them the step one and the step two,
Right.
and then they're ready for step three.
Yes.
It's not like they're bad people and they could never get there. It's just they're just not there yet. That's not what they did in their life. They had other priorities.
Yes. But it is our responsibility as coaches to provide that accountability. And it's a fine balance to nudge somebody so that they are taking action. But on the other hand, it might be too much for them at the moment. Who knows? So you have to judge
Yeah.
that at the time.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part. I think
Mm-hmm.
that part right there, I still very much am learning. Like I was telling my operations manager, I really want to get into the psychological aspect and really take some good training. Like me myself, I want to level up,
Mm-hmm.
not just in marketing. I want to level up in me being able to psychologically discern where that person is at,
Right.
right? It's a hard one because especially in like big programs like mine, and I don't know, maybe you get this too, because people want to work with you. They're excited to work with you. They want to work with you. They're so happy they found you. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes they're willing to say a lot that might not be necessarily true,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? And I'm that person with a big heart. If you say it, I'm just gonna believe it. And
Right.
then, then you get a person into a program for a whole year and they're really not the right fit.
Yeah. They
They're really not ready. And that makes it hard.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And I mean, those are situations where I will be very forthright with somebody because it's like pushing a wet noodle, right? You're ready to help them, but they're not ready themselves, and it feels very uncomfortable to feel like
Does. It
you've
feels
got
like
to
pulling teeth.
push them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think in cases like that, it's really important to have an open discussion about it. And
Mm.
sometimes mine have ended up where that individual said, I just have so much going on in my life. Uh, you know, I can't give the attention that I really
Yeah.
wanted to at this moment. And I just say, fine, I'm here. When you're ready, we'll just keep going, you know? Because otherwise, both people are in a really uncomfortable situation. Their money is well spent, it's got a future. And when their mind is open for it, then you can make a lot of progress.
Yeah. Yeah. But in the meantime, be be a strong enough and a confident enough entrepreneur and business person where you stand up and you say, hey, you know, this is uncomfortable. You're not making progress. You're not
Mhm.
actually doing the recommendations. So therefore, we're going to give you a break for a month. You come back in a month. You
Yeah,
decide.
yeah.
But
Or
have
just
some kind of a, have some kind of a an accountability process
right.
where you don't just let them string this thing along. Because I'll tell you, that's one of my most frustrating things is because when you have a client that is actually getting good results because they're doing the recommendations,
Mhm.
wow, it's like the best thing in the world.
Yes.
But like you've had clients where you're telling them what to do and you're telling them, "Hey, here's your tools. Use the tool
Right.
and you get the result." And they're not using your tools, right?
That's right.
That's a hard place to be in.
Yeah, yeah. But then there are those that really are committed, and seeing their success, there's nothing more rewarding because they
Yes.
see it, they get themselves into a great situation, and they show appreciation. Those are the success stories that I think we're all looking for, right?
Right. That's
To
why
help.
what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it enjoyable, and to guide somebody, because ultimately, I mean, it's like I can't go on an interview with somebody, but I can sure as
Right.
help them prepare for the interview.
Yes, you're there to give them the tools, but they have to do the work.
Right. And to practice, I help them with practice of the challenges and then guide them on a different way to answer the question. So,
Yes.
yeah. So all of that is very rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to get into health with you because
Sure.
you brought it up. And so I'm like now
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like this. I like can't wait to hear what's going on here.
so, everybody goes through health challenges, and, you just have to, you can't just stop because of those challenges. Everything seems to be blamed on an autoimmune system because it's so convoluted,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. So have you had challenges there?
Oh, yes, I have. It was
My.
a long time ago, but I have lupus right now. I've had it for a long
Right.
time.
I had it too.
You did too?
Oh my
Do you
goodness.
have it now?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No, ma'am. No. See, this is the work that the Lord created me to do because I was able to reverse mine.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so the antibodies are no longer there.
Mhm. Mhm.
That is what a doctor will tell you is absolutely impossible. Once you have an autoimmune disease diagnosis, or really any chronic illness,
Sure.
even if it's just something as, you know, what we consider normal nowadays
Mhm.
as a pre-diabetic condition or a little bit of heart disease or whatever, or being overweight or any of these things that people consider as normal aging, we now know scientifically that it's definitely not normal aging.
Mhm.
And yes, we can not only prevent these things from happening, but we can reverse them,
Mm.
which is it's phenomenal. It's
Yes.
phenomenal. Of course, a lot of people still don't believe that this is real, but we really are living in an age where we do know how to reverse chronic illness. And then it's just a matter of being able to get that message out into the world and teach people that this really is possible. You really can do it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but it takes work. It takes work. It's not as easy as, well, I think I'll stop eating sugar.
Right. Or I'll take this pill.
Well, no. Okay. There is no such thing
Mhm.
as a pill for an ill
Sure.
when you're working on your root causes.
Right.
Really, the only way to reverse any kind of chronic symptom is to find out what's causing it in the first place. I mean, what a novel idea. What a novel idea. Isn't that what medicine is supposed to do in the first place?
Sure.
But it doesn't. Yeah. Medicine is all about managing disease, at least the conventional medicine that we have today. It's really not about curing the root cause, right?
Right.
Science has given us the root causes. We know what the root causes are. Now it's just a matter of teaching people which root causes they have, right? So you do really good testing, you figure out which root causes they have, and it's never just one. And then you teach them how to fix those root causes. And once you do that, it's just incredible what the body will do.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. It's when I discovered I had lupus, I actually had a stroke. And
how old were you, Penny?
I was 40 at the time.
Wow, so young.
Yes. And when I did my physical therapy then to get things back to normal as they can be.
How bad was the stroke?
How bad was it? Is that what your question was? I had to learn how to walk again. I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks. And so I went through physical therapy. And the one thing about PT that was amazing to me was how the little maneuvers could fix everything. You know, who knew?
You think, oh, that's not going to work, and it worked.
It works. It was unbelievable. Yeah. But it took a while for me to recover and, you know, those sorts of things. And now I'm fine. I've been fine for a long time, even though I still have symptoms and I'm taking medication for it. But it, like any immune system disorder, you have flare-ups, makes you exhausted, you don't feel good, and you don't really know why. But I have learned.
I know why.
You know why?
I know why.
I know why, what contributes to it, but and you know, just behaviors and everything. But for me, it's accepting, like at a certain time of the day, I can't work beyond, you know, 2:00 or 3:00. And then also there have been times where I just drive myself by making a list. And even though my concentration isn't there, I kind of try to work through it.
Yeah. So this is the hardest thing. And I'm always just absolutely amazed with, like, I don't believe that there are any coincidences. I believe that the Lord is totally in control of all of every person we meet, everything that happens in life. I believe He's totally in control. And I had no idea when I reached out to you that you had lupus. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And look how you're talking about how it's limiting you. It's limiting your production and your productivity. It's making you know that, well, in order to manage this disease, in order to manage it, I know that I have to I have to work only until this hour, or I know that I can't overdo it, because if I overdo it, I'm going to put myself into a flare and my brain fog is going to kick in.
Yeah.
Right. And my goal in life, my calling in life, is to show people that you don't have to manage it like that you can actually reverse it to a great extent. And then you won't have to worry about the management anymore. Right. Then you'll just be in a place where, wow, you can just do what the Lord created you to do. Right? And you can do more of it. And who knows what else?
Right.
Right. Because you're no longer limited by something that we know now can be reversed. Right? And then, like you said, it takes things like, you know, that there's certain things that cause it. Like if you went out to dinner and you had and you had a McDonald's cheeseburger and a milkshake, and right, you know that with lupus the next day, your brain fog's going to be worse, your aches and pains are going to be worse, you're going to have the fatigue, you're going to be tired because you knew that you shouldn't have eaten that poison-filled meal.
Right.
Now, that's still management, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still management, right? So don't get me wrong. Even though I'm cured and I'm healed, I would still never drive through McDonald's.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It is not something that I would do. But nowadays, if I want to sit down and if I want to go out with the girls and I want to have a margarita, which is all sugar and alcohol and everything bad for you, if I want to have a big Mexican meal at some joint that, there's nothing organic in this place and it's nothing but, really bad food, I can do that. And I'm not going to have a huge flare the next day, because I've already brought my inflammation down to a point where now my body is mostly normal. It's not perfect. No, but nobody is. I no longer believe in the whole getting older has to limit you thing. I no longer believe it. It's amazing the transformation that happens on an emotional and spiritual level when you have had to work through a really hard health crisis, because you're just on fire now. You're just on fire. You have to tell people. If you didn't tell people, the rocks would cry out. You know what I mean? You have to just be out there just helping as many people as you possibly can. The beautiful thing is that I can now.
Yes.
I really, really can. I can go all day, every day. And like when you said that word, you said accept it, right? I did. I accepted it. But honestly, accepting it meant that I wasted 15 years of my life. That's what it boiled down
That's a
to.
long time to go through a devastating illness versus a chronic illness that is somewhat inconvenient, right? But
Yeah, you're still able to manage it and you're still able
yeah,
to work.
yeah,
Right. But like for me, knowing what I know scientifically, I know that that could come back to bite you in the butt at any moment, right?
yes,
Because that ongoing inflammation is not just sitting still. It's actually, there are other problems that it's causing. And it's, it's just a fact. And that's why we age, right? Because we're out of a lack of knowledge, we're allowing that inflammation to just fester within us. And we think we're managing it, so it's okay. But it's not, and that's why people have heart attacks and strokes and right. That's why the brain fog happens. That's why everybody complains about the overweight issue and all of that. It's because of that just constant inflammatory processes that a lot of them we're causing ourselves, and we can take a lot more control if we just know how.
yeah. By this motion, right? The hand to mouth.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
But once you get to that place where, like I say, like where you've made that leap and you've successfully made that next leap, and then you did some more things, and then once you get a few leaps out and you really truly have made those changes, it does become so much easier. It
Yeah,
just becomes a way of life. And then you feel so good that it's worth it.
right.
You want to keep.
Now I get that. I can relate that too. You go to bed and you know that if you have chocolate right before you go to bed or
Oh, it's the
something,
worst.
an example, you have terrible heartburn, which is, it's really, I mean, it's
You have
there. And so it's
yes.
much easier to say, I'm not going to have chocolate before I go to bed because I don't want any heartburn. It's cause and effect, right?
Positive,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part about chronic illness in our society is that, like, everybody knows that they've got these little chronic issues going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if it were as powerful as, like, Penny, you have a stroke. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now it's, oh, holy crap, I have to fix this. I have
Right.
no choice. Now I have to do something about it. Or then bringing it down to that place where you're eating the chocolate at night, right? You're like, last night I remember I did that and it felt terrible. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Not worth it.
Yeah. If there is a cause and effect like that, it makes it really easy.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem with chronic inflammation is that most of the time there's not a very powerful logical cause and effect. People are told by their doctors that, well, this is normal. Oh, it's just stress.
Or
Oh,
you're
it's just,
imagining it. There's something. Yeah.
or, oh, it's okay. Well, there's really nothing that you can do except take your medication for your lupus, Penny. So it's okay, honey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just do the best you can. Right. And to me, I say that's just a big fat load of bull. Yes,
Do
it's a big
you
fat load of
do you have information on your website about lupus? Yeah. All right.
Well, not specifically about lupus,
Oh.
because
Mm-hmm.
lupus is a chronic disease that's just like any other autoimmune disease. That's
Mm-hmm.
just like heart disease. It's just like brain fog. Everything boils down to inflammation in the body.
Mm-hmm.
Even ADHD in kids
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
or anxiety, it all boils down to inflammation in the body. And then what a precision person will do for you is they will find what is causing the inflammation.
Right.
In other, what is pissing your immune system off?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Something's making your immune system stand up and say, "Hey, wait a minute here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like this. I need to get all riled up and I need to create all these extra inflammatory processes in your body." And they're chronic and they're low level, so you don't really notice them.
That's
And what's
true.
happening is they're killing you.
Yeah.
They're slowly taking your productivity. They're slowly removing hours from your life every day. They're slowly giving you, worsening and worsening symptoms as you age. And now we're starting to see all these doctors and scientists coming out and speaking before Congress and saying, hey, we got a big mess here. We have a big toxic overload mess. We have genetic changes that are occurring. We have massive cellular deficiencies in the population, and those things are all fixable.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually pretty easily fixable if people are just willing to just change your lifestyle. Actually, I've learned a lot from you today, really,
Oh,
and
good.
I think it's amazing. Just like what I said before, I think it's amazing how God just puts people together for a reason. You're teaching people how to up level themselves in the business arena, right? I'm teaching people how to up level themselves in health,
That's right.
right? Well, that was an awesome conversation that we had today. And if you'd like more information about working with Miss Penny Pearl or about working with us here at the Cellular Healing and Longevity Center, we'll put all the information down in the description. Take care. We'll see you on our next episode. Bye bye.